Welcome to the Your Limitless Leadership Podcast with Jenny and Brent Widman. Here, we believe leadership isn't just about titles. It's about how you show up in every aspect of life. Whether you're leading a business, building a legacy as an entrepreneur, guiding your family, or striving to lead yourself first, this podcast is for you. Join us as we dive into real conversations about growth, decision-making, and the courage it takes to lead with purpose. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and equipped to become the limitless leader you are meant to be. This is Your Limitless Leadership Podcast. Let's lead without limits. All right. Welcome to Your Limitless Leadership Podcast. And today I feel pretty lucky to know Chris, because he is just, and I'll tell the story of that, but just knowing him and then knowing his son, and his son Grant played basketball with my son for a while. And just to say, when you know what your kids, what kids are like, they mimic their parents. And Grant always stood out as one of the finest, best, just the most polite kid I think I've ever met in my life. So it's pretty cool that,
nice.
yeah. And then get to meet you and just the conversations we've had that leadership to me is helping when you don't have to help. And I'll tell you what, man, those little conversations have stuck with me over time. And we don't know this at times, but it helps us. And I just thank you for that too at the same time.
Thanks, Brent. I'm excited to be here with you today. I have a lot of respect for you as well. And it's pretty cool that our paths have crossed here in a professional manner, because we met, in the bleachers of a basketball game years ago, right?
It's crazy. It's been so many years too.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you a little background here. So Chris is a servant-minded leader, and I know that's we hear that a lot, but that's why when you hear this and you hear him talk, you'll understand just how much he cares about those people around him. And he's guided by a passion with people that achieve to hit excellence. That's part of who he is, whether it's business. And just reading his background in the community, he's served as CEO of 3 separate companies. So he does the deal, and they are anywhere from 35 to 100 million in revenue. So these aren't small companies either. They are expanding and growing. He's currently the CEO of Atomic Data and Foundation Technologies, is a board of director of 2 family-owned mid-market companies. So he doesn't just do that. And this one was kind of funny too. Not only that, but he's the mayor of Medicine Lake here in Minnesota, which is fantastic. We have a mayor, folks. I love it. But he's known for building high-performing teams, scaling businesses, operations. He's worked a lot with Traction. If you have not read those books or know anything about Traction, I would encourage you to read EOS Traction, because it will help scale your company and help grow your company and just help build that foundation of knowing where everybody's going as well. But he is consummately people first, and you can tell that just by who he is and what he does and just the person he is on an everyday basis. Outside of being a CEO, he is a mentor for a software of entrepreneurs. Is it Mesa?
Called Mesa, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Minnesota Entrepreneurial Software Association. Yeah.
Okay. I love it. Talk about that. And then this one got me too. A 20-year retired volunteer firefighter.
Yeah.
Which means not only does he help change people's lives and companies, he helps save them and volunteers as well. And you'll find a pattern here with him that he achieves. And I look at the physical side as well. Ironman, and I'm not talking just a sprint triathlon. He did a full Ironman. He has swam from Alcatraz. You got to tell me about this, because I want to hear about that.
Okay, yeah, you should do it.
Yeah. And then going to climb Kilimanjaro in September.
Sir. Yeah.
So, good for you, man. Like, those are the things.
You list all that out, it's like there's a little bit of craziness there, I guess.
Isn't it weird when you think about your past and where you've gotten to where you? Well, let's start there. Like, where did you start? Like, just kind of tell me your back. And I'm not worried about you being humble and all that stuff. I just want to know about you and your background. And how did you get to where you are, and the things that, I guess we'll talk about this, but that have shaped you along the way, or challenges. But what's your path?
Brent, it's easy to look at everything now and look backwards, and it looks like there was a plan. But to be honest, there really wasn't a plan. I'm a very curious person. I like to push myself really hard. I genuinely care about people. I've always cared about people, but I didn't really understand like what that meant, like how to channel that energy into business until about 10 years ago when I had my first CEO role. And so I guess looking backwards, it kind of looks like I had a nice progression of my career. I do like to do really hard things. I love being part of my community, and I love being a leader of people. And it presents itself as like, well, maybe I kind of had that all figured out, but I didn't. I just kind of evolved, and I take life very seriously, but I also try to be a lighthearted person. I try to push myself to be the best version of myself that I can. And I guess it's kind of like, the psychologist Phil Stutz, he talks about the string of pearls, and that, just life is just an accumulation of all these little nuggets of wisdom and experiences that build upon each other. And I think that's probably mostly how it has occurred for me.
Wow, you touched on a couple things there that you can just tell who you are by what you just said. That literally, like the third word out of your mouth was "I'm curious."
Yes.
And to be just to be who you are and a great leader, I feel like that's one of the top one, if not top two, is to be curious about other people and what have you. And it's
Yeah.
refreshing to hear because you know as well as I do, people hear about other people and they see the title and all the thing that says CEO and what have you, and
Yeah.
they feel like you have it all figured out. When you said there was no plan, what did you mean by that? Like, walk us through that a little bit. 10 years ago, that you said that that's where things kind of changed. And I don't know if you can pinpoint it or not,
Sure.
but
I guess a couple of things that come to mind. Again, this is all like, looking backwards kind of reflection, but I would say that I never dreamed that I would be a CEO. I
mm,
never imagined that anyone would ever ask me to do that. I never had the like the drive. Like I wasn't pursuing that. It just kind of came to me, I guess. But if I really look back, I always envisioned myself like where my mind was at is I've got my leadership team in a boardroom, and I just kind of said when they walk out of the boardroom, I just want to be the person they walk up to and say, "Hey, we've got something for you." And I can say that that was intentional for me my whole career. I was not trying to accomplish anything specific. I just always wanted to be the person that got leaned on to do kind of the new thing, the challenging thing, and I'm very proud of that. And that has been, I am a curious learner, and I'm also like, I don't like change just for the sake of change, but I don't stand still very well. And I like to push, I like to innovate, I like to explore. And I think that has been probably the common theme through my whole career is that I just was willing to be there and do what was needed, and not make it about me, and just try to lift the world up as I'm trying to like navigate my own career and pursue my passions.
that's I don't know, man. Just the way you talk, it's about the you've not said one thing about yourself. I mean, you've said my career, but you've talked about all the people around you and how it seems like they've helped you along the way, is what I'm
Yeah,
hearing.
yeah, 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 for sure. I mean, there's a lot of learnings that come into, I guess, what I'm saying. Just the perspective. One of the things I learned about myself, and I caught myself kind of being in a rut. Let's say maybe like 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and it's chase versus pursuit. And I realized that I was chasing a few things, and I don't like how it feels when I'm chasing something. And and I want to come back to answer your question about 10 years ago or whatever, but um, this word chase versus pursuit, it's a very minor difference in like the real definition, but very, very fundamental from a mindset perspective. And all I want in my life is pursuit. I don't want to chase anything. I don't want to be doing anything in my life because I feel like I'm chasing, which means I'm trying to be somebody that I'm not, or I'm trying to go after some goal just for the goal. And pursuit for me it's all about that. I'm trying to accomplish something, and it's not about what it, but it's not about what it actually accomplishes. It's just that I'm just trying to like go pursue things, And I don't know if I'm doing a very good job of explaining it, but it's a very important word difference for me, and it's a check-in, kind of like just with my soul about whatever I'm doing. It's got to be pursuit oriented.
I feel like you just gave a quick master's class in mindset that if we're chasing something, are we ever going to find it if we just continue to
Yes.
chase? But over here, if we pursue something, and we can use the cliche bigger than us or whatever it is, but you're
Yeah.
pursuing something, you're going after something that there's no finish line. You just continue to keep doing
100%. Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yes. Because there isn't a finish line. And also, I think a lot of things in life become kind of destination, like I'll be happy when, or, I'll do whatever when I make this amount of money, whatever. But, life is fleeting, and we have almost no control over the outside, the external realities of the world. And so if we unintentionally define happiness around this destination, whatever that thing is, and I think we're guilty of it, in a lot of different categories of life, that's chase to me. That is, I'll be happy when. Well, why not be happy today while you're pursuing that versus waiting to give yourself permission to be happy, when you get to that thing? Because one, you might find there's kind of two outcomes. One, when you get there, you're happy for a minute and then you're like chasing the next thing, or you don't get there and you feel like you're a failure. But if you enjoy the journey, and you enjoy the pursuit, then I don't know, life just like it takes you down its own pathway, I guess, to a certain degree.
Well, that kind of goes back to what you said about you're not always looking for change, but you're always looking to do and go
Yeah.
and find the not the better, if you will, but find. And if you can't enjoy the process along the way,
Yeah.
why the heck are we doing it at
Yeah.
the
No,
same time?
but Brent,
Yeah.
those are learned behaviors. And I'm a student of all this, and I just feel like I've barely begun, but I have accumulated, I guess, some perspective, but go back to your question. The first time that I really thought about who I am as a leader was the day that I was appointed to be a CEO. It
Hmm.
sounds kind of stupid now, like really, but I had never really thought about, and I was a leader before that, and I took it seriously, but I had never really thought about the scope of everything until I was asked to be a CEO, and I was like, gosh, I better like figure out like who I am, and this imposter syndrome kicked in, and just all these things. Like I've got a lot to learn, and I got very in touch with who I am. I call it my why. That first year, and it was very formative. I intentionally took the time to ask myself really deep questions. I spent time, shaping this my why and discovering who I am. And as I figured that out, it built confidence, and I connected with the fact that there's like three metaphors that came out of that. The first one is like this beach ball analogy of I've got to fill myself up like my PSI. Like if I want to give back to the world, like have fun, be fun like a beach ball, I got to fill myself up. I call that just be me. Servant leadership. I was trying to find my own voice for servant leadership, and I call it people first leadership. I think it's a more inclusive term than, so I think servant leadership has, in some areas, has taken on, different definitions, whatever. And then the final thing is the mindset. Like I call that the calligraphy pen. And it's just like, I'm always in control of my story, no matter what's happening to me in the outside world. The mindset that I bring to things. And that just gave me confidence. Like, okay, if I know who I am, then I can go lead. And if, people will either like me or not like me, but at least they'll know who I am because I know who I am. And that's been the foundation of, the last decade or so for myself.
What you just said there and how you built the confidence and even going back to imposter syndrome, that
Hmm.
what you just said, that and it's crazy to hear the people that you look at, like I perceive you, CEO. Chris gets it. Chris has it figured out, but you still struggled with imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
What was
yeah,
the
for sure.
thing you did when you said you went to find yourself? Was there any, like, you took a trip, or you went to somewhere, or is it just I sat down one day and I'm like, I got to figure this out?
Yeah, it's a combination of all of that. I did go to a couple Tony Robbins events, which
Okay.
The environment was great. They do take you through a bit of an exercise that, so yes, I followed, it was like a 4 or 5 day thing that I did. That was really helpful because it pulled me out of my environment, and there was enough of a curriculum there to follow. So that was really helpful. But I'd say most of the work actually was myself, just spending time being intentional about this. I call it think on paper. I like to write, and I just started writing about this stuff and drawing pictures. I'm kind of by nature, I find metaphors, and I even in business, like when we're doing strategy, I like to find metaphors, and I like to tie whatever we're doing to a story that's beyond just the, right, what's right in front of us. That comes natural to me, I guess. So those three metaphors, they just emerged. Like, I wasn't intentionally trying to create them, but it just kind of happened by spending enough time being in that mindset, I guess.
Love that. You're giving yourself, but you're giving other people permission to know that they don't have to have it all figured out. And then it's also okay to take time for yourself to just kind of think through things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's not normal. I don't know if you know that, but that's not normal. And that is.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it. I wish it was normal.
Yeah.
I would say so. I've been kind of very reflective lately. The work that we're doing here at Atomic Data, and just the backdrop of the situation. I'm leading a company that the founder passed away 2 years ago, and it's wonderful. It's beautiful. I love being here. It's also filled with a lot of incredible challenges. I'm not the founder. I never had a chance to meet the founder, and we're trying to navigate a very fast moving industry, and there's cultural. I'm a different leader, so there's just a lot of reflection right now, and I think there's always having a good healthy dose of I guess reflection. You can call it imposter syndrome, doubt, whatever. Just call it reflection. Like the moment that we think we actually have it figured out, I think that's doomsday, because the moment you have it figured out, there's a left or right. Something something throws a curveball at you, and then you're off track. I so hope that people take time to really reflect where they're at on their journey. Because work it's supposed to be hard. But it's also supposed to be fun and fulfilling and rewarding and a building block. And I just so badly want the work environment to be something where everybody can like thrive individually. But you can't control people's mindset. You can't control their path, the work that they put into it, and all they, and that's been a learned thing for me too. My job is I'm not here to motivate people. You've got to bring your own motivation. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to create an environment where people can be motivated. Yeah, and there's a big difference, because I think we can sometimes fall into the trap that our job is to like motivate others, and at the end of the day, that's got to be inside you.
How did you? And I go back to this where you said you've done hard things or what have you, but before we get to that,
yeah, of course,
there's something within you that continues to drive you and motivate you, and just that you've created that normalcy, that habit, that muscle, if you will, of that's just who you are. Has that evolved over time, or did that come from maybe a parent, somebody you knew, or is that just that's happened with Chris over time?
That's a good question. I think some of that's always been with me. They're still with me, the most supportive parents. They're just the biggest supporters of me my whole life. Neither of them are necessarily driven to the same way as I am, I suppose. But I mean, if I really think about my dad, though, he is a woodworker. He's a craftsman. He's amazing. He was always out in the shop, always doing things. He did all of his own work. I mean, he built his own home. So I definitely grew up in an environment where, my mom took care of us, and she stayed home, and she did work a bit outside the home, but she was the stability of the family. My dad worked incredibly hard and always had projects going on. And I mean, looking back, I wish I would have participated more, but I participated. But I definitely think that I picked up on that work ethic and just go try stuff, and I suppose it's got to be part of the formation of all this, right?
For sure. It's funny how people take two different paths too. It's either you see the hard work and you go after that and it's ingrained in you, and that's something, or you take the other path. It's like, well, I don't want that. And it's your choice, is what you just said. It is. It's, man, the things that you're talking about, I got to go back to this though, the hard things. I mean, you talk about, I would love to hear about the swim for sure. Was that part of the Ironman?
No, it's a separate
So
thing.
something different. Okay. So you got to fill me in on this.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you just want me to talk about.
I would love to hear about how that came to fruition, where your mindset was around that, because I think here's why I'm really asking.
Yeah.
When you look to do something like that, there is this unknown. And with anything, kind of what the pattern I'm seeing in you, taking a CEO level position, there was the unknown. You didn't know if you were ready. And then taking a different one. And then now at Atomic, you're taking over for somebody that passed away. So there's the unknown, and you continue to take on these challenges that aren't easy, but for some reason you embrace it. And that's what's standing out to me. So I would love to hear about this.
Oh, great. That's a great reflection. I'm going to say something before I answer it. And that is, I carry around, I have anxiety and I have worry, and I'm not immune to those things. Like, I don't know if I carry any more around than anybody else, but I'm definitely aware of the fact that the world can stress me out sometimes, and it can sometimes get the best of me. And as much as I want the world to be a happy place and want everybody to be happy, it's never the case, right? I mean, there's always something that can throw you off track and give you uncertainties. And I guess, Brent, if I really think about it, what my endurance sports has been is it's been the me time for me to intentionally expose myself to hard things and some accomplishments along the way, that are all, it's just me. Like, I don't have to worry about, am I keeping anybody else happy or whatever. And so in a way, endurance sports has been a way for me to just kind of escape everything and just go spend time with myself. And sometimes I'm with other people, but to challenge myself physically and mentally, go accomplish something. And I think about it a lot when I'm doing these things, that somehow this has to be good preparation for the hard stuff that happens elsewhere in life. And so I think I've just kind of found, like, it's my training. Like, if I consider myself a professional athlete in the business world, I've got to go have hard practices. And so the sports things that I do are, both physically and mentally hard, so that hopefully I'm able to, do a little bit better job when I'm on the field as well, which the field would be, my day job.
First off, thank you for the vulnerability on that, because that's not easy. And to me, that's another definition of why you are so great at what you do.
You're so kind.
I mean, people can hang on to that because none of us have it figured out, and all of us have stuff, right? We all go through stuff at times.
Stuff. Yeah.
And it's how we handle it or what we do. And we're not doing Ironmans because it feels good. We're doing it because I'm a believer, just like you. It seems like that when you do hard things, it makes other things or other challenges that we come through become easier. It just does. We know how to tackle it. So,
yeah. Name one easy thing that you look back 20 years and, like, you're really proud of that. I mean, it's, name one movie we've ever watched where the storyline didn't go from some epic battle to the wonderful thing that happened at the end. It's the hero's journey. It plays over and over in all parts of life. And so, yeah, you have to face and overcome hard things to feel the accomplishment, the achievement of it. And that goes back to chase versus pursuit, just being in check with why you're doing that. The reason I did an Ironman, well, first of all, probably 6 years before. So I did the Ironman the year that I was 50. So 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I had just decided it was going to be my 50-year birthday challenge to myself, right? I had the idea in my mind for a couple years before that, but I had never done. I did a small triathlon, but I really have never done triathlons. But I had the Ironman in mind, and probably 6 years before that, I went running one time for 8 miles, and that was like huge accomplishment, 8 miles. And then I told a neighbor friend, and she was like, well, you should do the marathon. You should do the, Twin Cities Marathon. So that's probably June when I did this 8 miles. First time I ran 8 miles. She's like, you should do the marathon in the fall. And she's like, I'll run with you. I'm like, okay, so sure. So I trained that summer and ran my first marathon. Awesome. Really, really hard, but, got it done. And I kind of liked it. I kind of liked how it felt. And it became a little bit of that, wow, this is a hard thing I can overcome. I had the idea of the Ironman. I did that. And then Alcatraz is just like, always been fascinated by the swim of Alcatraz. And so I guess it goes back to just being curious, and why not go try these things,
Well, the fact you're just saying what you just told me too is you're saying yes. It's like a challenge comes and you go,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's maybe, I don't know, there's probably a little bit of vanity. It's fun to talk about that. Yeah, I did these things, but I certainly didn't do this for anybody else. Like, I could care less if people, I didn't do it for anybody, but it is great to talk about it because it's a big accomplishment. And I think these things hopefully somehow inspire people to, not that anybody has to go do an Ironman, but hopefully you hear something like that, like, oh, maybe I should try something. And that's, I like that you picked up on that. I guess I am just pretty prone to just try stuff.
It's why not? And
Yeah.
what you just being a normal everyday dude that can go out and, run an iron, because we put these other people on pedestals and you just ran 8 miles and it was hard and sucked. And she said, run a marathon. You're like, okay, let's try it.
Yeah.
And then the evolution.
Yeah.
Tell me about this swim. So what is this swim? And I don't know if anybody's ever been to Alcatraz, anybody listen to this, but the water's not calm. Let's call it what it is. It is choppy. It is cold. It's the San Francisco Bay. Let's call it.
Yes.
So
yeah.
How did that come about? And what was that like?
Well, so I think the Alcatraz idea came about as I was training for the Ironman and doing some pretty long swims. Like, it's a 2.4 mile swim in the Ironman. So it's a lot. And so I swam all summer long prepping for that in a lake. And I did a few lake races around the cities. And one of them is a 5 mile race from Excelsior Water Tower to Wayzata Water Tower on Lake Minnetonka.
Wow.
And I did that 4 years in a row. And 3 of the 4 years was heavy, heavy winds. I don't think I'm exaggerating, 12, 15 mile per hour winds swimming into the waves for 5 miles. It's like a 4-hour swim, really, really hard. And was talking with somebody, they said, well, if, doing Alcatraz is probably about as hard as that swim on Minnetonka. And how cool would that be? And so we decided to do a family vacation for it. I have to say, doing Alcatraz, it's not easy, but it's not incredibly hard. It's I won't say only, but it's like 1.7 miles. It's not. It's hard. The water is definitely cold, and it is choppy. It's all those things, but it's also this amazing event. You're swimming towards downtown San Francisco, and and there's 800 other swimmers, and it's just this cool, epic, super epic thing to be part of.
Well, even think of the analogy that you just said, that you did this swim for 5 miles, 15-mile-an-hour winds, choppy weather. You talk about it like, yeah, it was hard. It was 4 hours. Most people don't get in the water and swim for 4 hours in choppy weather. Let's call that first. So you look at it and go, okay, well, let's do the swim in San Francisco, Alcatraz, but that's only a mile and 1.6, I think is what you said.
Yeah.
There's your analogy. You did the hard thing over here, which made this not as bad.
Yeah, totally. I do see, again, keeping in mind that I'm not stress-free and anxiety-free myself, but I do see people struggling with things in life. And I so wish that they could find their thing outside of the main thing that's causing stress, like whether let's just say it's work or if they're in a tough, relationship, thing. So there's a main source of stress. I so wish that everybody could find their alternative way of solving their stress, because I really think that it's formative in just building up our, why do we exercise, build our bodies, all those things. Like, you're doing it so that your body it can endure more. And I think I found my thing, and it's certainly in this podcast, I want to emphasize it's not, if there's achievement to be had in all kinds of different categories. It doesn't have to be some big physical event, right? But it is more about I guess the mindset about, going and trying something and putting yourself just enough outside of your boundary where you're not going to hurt yourself or cause major harm, but you're going to make yourself a little uncomfortable. And I think that accumulation of that, it expands the horizon of your life and gains confidence that, okay, I can do these things, whatever those things are.
Just piggyback or toot your horn or whatever you want to call it on what you just said about anxiety and what have you. And this, we talked about it a little bit, where my son's gone through it.
Yeah.
And what really, really stuck out to me with you is we were at that event, that C9 event, and you just came over to talk to us and you asked how Jack was doing. We kind of told you, and you said I should talk to one of the moms.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that you talked about that. You didn't leave it at that. You sent me an email maybe a week or two, or an email a week or two later, and followed through on what you said and introduced me. And to me, that goes back to everything that you have talked about, who you are as a person, what you do, what you believe in, the values that you live by, that it's about caring about people, not just the title. Yeah.
I don't know, Brent. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but like, what is achievement? Like, what are all these things if you just do it for yourself? Like, I just don't understand that. I know some people maybe look at the world that way. There's a great book called The Go-Giver, and it just, I don't know if you've read that book, but just, yeah, I mean, on our journey, we don't get me wrong. I'm on my journey. I care deeply about my family. They are my priority. Like, my close inner world is my priority, but it's not the only thing. And if I can pursue the things that I want to pursue in life and help other people on their journey as well, like, that is just so much more fulfilling than only focusing on whatever I'm trying to accomplish. And I don't know, I guess I can't speak. That just comes naturally to me. I care deeply about other people. I'm definitely have learned, I don't think that I'm a people pleaser, but I think there's traits of that. I mean, I think to a certain degree that's okay. I want people to be happy. I think more so than trying to please people, I'm just trying to create an environment where people have the best chance they can to thrive on their journey. And so if we can be on a collective journey and everybody's thriving on their own, but they're supporting each other, like, yeah, to whatever degree I can help influence the world on that, that's awesome. But I want to make sure it's clear. Like, I don't wake up every day totally focused on, I got to do all these things for other people at the sacrifice of myself. I've had days where I think I made too much of that. And that's where that beach ball thing came from. I can't just focus on doing all these things for others and forget about myself, because then I just get so deflated. And so I definitely am trying to find that equilibrium where I keep my PSI high, and then I'm stronger to be able to help others that maybe are struggling a little bit.
Okay, so what you just said about keeping yours high, because if you don't do it for you, how can you do it for others?
100%. And I've gone down that path, and it's a losing path, because you can have great intentions of wanting to help other people, but if you do that at the expense of yourself, then it's like, it's pointless. In the end, it's pointless, because you're deflated, you're burnt out. And so finding that equilibrium, that's why I do these things outside of work, to fulfill myself, make myself stronger, so that I can give everything while I'm at work to help the team be successful. Like, that's how I think about it.
Okay, here's a question for you, because
Yes,
many leaders that get in our position, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do, to perform, to what have you. What would you tell somebody, and you don't have to answer this right off the bat, what have you, can process a little bit, but somebody comes to you, and how would you give them permission to do exactly what you're talking about, to pursue the things they want to pursue and take that time, but be, I don't want to call it selfish because that's not the right word, but we need to take care of us too. What would you tell that person if they came to you and said, "Oh, I can't. I'm not doing as well at work, or things aren't going the way I wanted to, or what have you?" What would you tell them?
I guess I'll just say the first thing that came to mind, and it's okay to be selfish, but it's not being selfish. But it's totally fine. Like, you have to take care of yourself, you know. And at the end of this journey, you know, if you give everything to your job and you haven't taken care of yourself, I don't think there's a prize at the end of that track. There's don't get me wrong. I mean, it's great, but if you're doing it at the sacrifice of your own health or your own, you know, you're working too much and aren't taking care of your kids, whatever, like, I just hope people aren't on that path. But you know, but we all, I think the key thing is, we sometimes, you know, we can't see it. We can't see our own path as clearly as we can see it for others, right? You know, when you stand as a bystander. And so, um, I think part of leadership is to see that in others, either to see somebody that is, you know, overdoing something or underdoing something, you know,
Yep.
sometimes. Um, I think it's a wonderful skill. The more that we can be in touch with what we're trying to accomplish, we can go to our leadership team and we can be a matchmaker of, these are the things that I would love to accomplish in my career. And this is what I'm seeing in the company that could benefit from that desire. If somebody can come forward with both, most of the time people only come forward with what they want out of the situation. The really successful people, I think, are who can see what the business needs or their peers need in addition to their own desires, and they can bring those together and match them up. You know, like, what leader wouldn't want to reward that type of
Yeah.
approach?
Wow, that was really good, because that's, then you're getting both sides of it. Because
Yeah.
it's okay to be selfish, to take care of yourself. Because let's be real, when you become a leader, when you become a CEO, people are watching you.
Mhm.
Watching you, whether you think so or not, they're watching you. And if you give yourself permission to do things that take care of you, it gives them also permission without telling them it's okay. They just
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And if you're coming
Can
in,
I say something? So words matter, and I said selfish. I advocate
mm,
is a better word, and words matter because they draw different emotions. I think the point that advocating for yourself is not selfish is probably what I
mm,
was really trying to say. You know, yeah, just like chase versus pursuit. Helping people advocate for themselves in a way that's also beneficial to, you know, the business. I mean, that's awesome, and I want to be part of that all day long.
I'd love that. And I'm sure people listening to this picked up on, you're not saying go be selfish, go be that person. You're
Yeah,
saying,
but words do matter, right? Because it draws out different emotions. Yeah.
it's funny, isn't it? How people hang on
Yep.
to, we hang on to
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
for some reason that, yeah, just the, who you are. Okay. What's the next thing? You talk about Kilimanjaro. You talk about, why that? Why'd you choose
Well,
that?
Kilimanjaro is a really cool story. I've had Keeley is what they call it. I've had Mount Keeley in mind for a
Hmm.
while. My wife and I had talked about it as something that maybe we would do in our empty nester years in the next 5 years or so. So I kind of had it at the back of my mind. What's amazing about this story, though, is I met this guy Jeff. He does similar things to you, and he's a CEO coach. Met him
Okay.
during COVID. He lives in New Jersey. Had never met him in person, but he asked me to be on a podcast like this about 5 years ago. And about a month after I did the podcast with him, I saw a picture of him on LinkedIn, full body picture, and he's in a wheelchair. And I didn't know that he was in a wheelchair when we did the podcast. And we really had a great connection. I followed up, and he explained, he's got a neurological disease and was a normal person that about early 40s, developed this disease, and now he's in a wheelchair. And it just developed. I mean, we just became friends. And he called me the week of Christmas last year and said that he had developed a life, he developed a dream that he wanted to climb Kilimanjaro. He had been training with some friends in New Jersey. They custom built a wheelchair and they've been practicing with this harness thing. And he asked me if I would join his team to climb Kilimanjaro. So what went from like something that would maybe be on my bucket, it went from being a bucket list thing to okay, now I get to do something really cool that's not about me at all. Like I get to go help somebody else pursue their dream. And we're leaving in like 60 days. We're leaving on September 5th.
And you said yes.
Of course.
Yeah, you said somebody asked you to do something hard, and you said
I
yes.
said, yeah, I said yes. What I love about that is, some of these endurance things, they tend to be very self-centered. I mean, it is like, you spend a
Time.
lot of time
Yeah.
alone, and to go do something like that and have it be helping somebody else pursue their dream, like it's almost a magical story. Like I'm so hopeful that we'll make it to the top. There's no promise that we will, because altitude sickness is a real thing. But I'm hoping that we do, and what a great story. It will top any individual accomplishment that I've accomplished to have been part of this team to do that.
Isn't it crazy when you just put things out there, things happen?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I've come to find that out over the years, that when you start talking about maybe something you want to do or something you dream of or something, when you talk about it, maybe you're not quite sure if you're going to do it or if it's going to happen. And then somebody says, well, you should do this, or you should come with me, or let's figure it out together. And now you're doing those types of things and you're not alone at all.
Yeah. I think I'd like to tie your comment back to that chase versus pursuit, thing.
Yep.
And, as I get older, whatever I try to do, of course, I want to try to finish it, but I've let that go completely. Like if I sign up for a marathon and I don't finish the marathon, like who cares? I don't care. And how freeing that is. And so I guess, if there's a message around that for just try stuff, is let it just be okay. Like whatever your goal that you set for yourself, who cares about the goal? It's the process. And,
I
stuff
agree.
happens, injuries happen, things, whatever. Um, and that's where, if you can make it part of the journey and not the destination, how do you fail? Like I don't think you can fail with that mindset.
I don't either. And even talking about a marathon or what have you, that if you're training for it, you're already far and above what you have done in the past, or far and above other people as well, if that's the thing. But just doing things like that, it's okay. I mean, goals, we set goals because we want to strive towards something. We want
Yes.
to
Yeah.
achieve. But if we don't hit them, it's not like we failed, because you're farther along than you would have
Yeah.
been anyway, because you're working
Yeah.
towards something. So,
100%. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
There's a really good book that came out probably 5 years ago, The Gap in the Game. And The Gap in the Game by Dan Sullivan is a really great book that kind of captures that mindset, that we can get so caught up in setting goals that we set, like when we kind of get to the goal, all we do is just set the next goal, and we don't stop to reflect. And The Gap in the Game just talks about, like, it's always the gap. The gap is always that you should be pursuing goals, right? But the gain is a reminder that at every increment of progress, you should look backwards first and reflect on how far you've come before you turn around and figure out, what's left.
Wow.
And I like that. I wish I took a little bit more time to celebrate, but I try to keep that in mind, that being goal focused is really great. I think that's what, drives successful people. But also to reflect on the gain, that you've made, and celebrate that. It's very
Even that,
important.
what you just said about how far you've become.
Yeah.
Oh, that just hit me, because we're always looking for the next, and what else can we accomplish?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like what you said at the beginning of this when I read your thing, and you're like, huh, it's crazy when you think about all the stuff that you've done. We don't reflect on it at times,
Yeah.
but you've done a lot of stuff. So,
There's an amazing
yeah.
psychologist, Phil Stutz, and in
Okay.
fact, he has a documentary on Netflix called Stutz. Really, really good. I'm forgetting the actor that created the documentary. It's awesome, and I read all of Dr. Stutz's things. I mentioned the String of Pearls
Yep.
before, and he's got a really good perspective that in both the bad things that happen in life and the good things, it's those are experiences, and each of them is kind of like, putting a pearl on a string, and it's the cumulative effect of all those things. It's capturing the wisdom, the knowledge, the learnings, the whatever, from each of those things, both the good things and the bad things that that shape us. And I think it's just a really healthy way of looking at, every time you stub your toe, capture a little bit of what can I take away from that, or you're helping your son through a hard time, or we're solving something in business, or trying to get through something with a friend, whatever those things are. I think the gap in the gain concept, if you allow yourself to take that moment, that's where the magic of like, okay, what can I take away from this thing?
Man, thank you so
Oh, thank
much.
you. This is a blast.
This is the things that you have said, and I go back to what I said about I know it sounds funny or whatever, but a master's class, and just how to be a great person, how to pour into people, how to care about people, how to be curious about people, that don't get caught up in it, and just your outlook on life and what you do and how you do it is, thank you. I don't know how else
Thank
to
you.
say it.
No, thank you, Brent. I have huge respect for you, and as I said, you and I just made a connection like almost instantly. At the
Crazy.
part of it is we look alike, right? You've got a more chiseled jaw than me, but no, and your son impressed the heck out of me. That you talk about a warrior on the basketball court.
Yeah,
And it was so impressive to watch that. That spirit, and knowing. I mean, all of our kids go through different challenges, but knowing that he's got that warrior spirit inside of him,
he
whatever
does.
challenges he's going through, talking about, like he's going to overcome those things, and that's the hero's journey for him, and that warrior spirit is going to get him through that, and it's going to be a beautiful thing.
I love that, the hero's journey. That's a good way to put it. That we all
Yeah,
have it.
yeah,
We all have
yeah,
that choice too at the same time. So
yeah.
yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for
Appreciate
being
you,
on.
man. Yes, thank you. I
Yeah,
hope everything's going great in your business, and yeah, would love to get together in person here sometime soon as
yeah,
well.
yeah, I love it. Thanks for joining us on the Your Limitless Leadership podcast with Jenny and Brent Widman. We hope today's conversation inspired you to think differently about leadership, not just in your career, but in every part of your life. Remember, leadership starts with leading yourself first. It's about taking action, making bold decisions, and showing up with purpose. Now, it's time to take what you've heard today and put it into practice. Whether it's in your business, your community, your family, or your own personal growth, start leading without limits. You have the power to become the leader you're meant to be. Until next time, keep pushing your boundaries and leading with purpose.